Hi, and welcome to Mini Maths at Virtual School Victoria, where we do a lot of maths learning in a little bit of time. Today, we're following on from the multiplication ideas that we've looked at in the past, and today we're going to focus on the connections between multiplication, multiples of tens, hundreds, thousands, and even more, division and fractions. So those connections are important. Remember the idea, and I'll start with 2/8 that we covered last week, that if you know one table, there's a lot of other things you know. So it's worth investing in learning your tables. So if you know 2 times 8 equals 16, you know that 8 times 2 equals 16. It's a commutative law. You can do it in multiples of 10, which you're really doing 2 times 8 times 10 will give you 160. And of course, you can do the other half of that. Then, if you know those tables, you can do a division. You can divide by 2 or you can divide by 8, which is sharing into equal groups. If you can do a division, you can certainly do a fraction. And half of means take 16 things and share it equally between two groups. And you can do 1/8. And of course, you can apply the multiples with division as well, and with the fractions. So knowing one table means you actually already know quite a lot of good mathematics. Now let's talk a little bit about multiples of tens, hundreds, and thousands. What we are doing here, we are not adding a zero. A lot of people say, oh, 2 times 8, add a zero. Think about it. If you had $16 and I added a zero, I gave you $0 and you added it to $16, you would not suddenly have $160. You would have $16. What you are doing, you're actually multiplying by 10. So how that works, 20 times 80 is 2 times 8 times 10 times 10. So can you see times 10 and times 10 gives you 100. Can you see times 100 gives you 100. So be wary of how you're working because you're multiplying by 10 and moving things into their place value columns. That is a very common error that people do get confused with. Anyway, you can do multiples and it works up to even working in millions. You can work out divisions as well. And this is called the inverse, where it's in multiplication, we're putting things together. In division, we're taking the group and sharing things out. Now, if you can do division, you can certainly do fractions because fractions are another way of sharing things. This is how it works. Here are two groups of 8. When we put them together, we have one group of 16. But now I want to do a division sum, so I have to take them and divide by 2, which means share it equally between two groups, and each group will have 8 in it. Now, this works as a fraction very well as well, because I've taken 16 things and I've divided by 2. Now, can you see another way of writing a division sum? We start at 16 and we divide by 2. And it's exactly the same as that. So when you see it like that, it is still a division sum or a division problem. Now let's have a look at the other way we can do that. We can take 16, or say take 8 groups of 2, put them all together, and here you have 16. If you share them equally into 8 groups, each group will have 2. So that is 1/8. There's another 1/8. There's another 1/8. So there is a connection. So let's have a look at those connections again. Look at the patterns. One fraction start again. One multiplication table will give you all that. Now, what you need to do is take a piece of paper, choose one or do them all, and see how many connections you could make. I reckon if I took 4 times 5 equals 20, I reckon I could create at least 20 really good connections. That is your challenge. Now, before we finish, let us practice our tables. What do you think will go in this one here? Let's see. Did you say 24? And there we go. We snuck 2 in there. There's 28. We're going to have a look at this table. Look at the 6 and look at the 8. We're asking you, what is the answer to 6 times 8? What do you think it will be? If you said 48, you're doing well. The next one, we're looking here. We're looking at 7 and 6s. I wonder what 7 6s are. Did you say 42? That was fantastic. That is one that can be a bit tricky. We're now looking in this one here. I wonder what 7 8s would be. I use a little pattern. I say 7 8 5 6 and 7 8s are 56. Sometimes you can use little tricks like that to help you. Now let's have a look at the next one, which will be the one down here. It'll be 7 9s. They can be tricky. 63, well done. And of course, you're understanding how this works. 9 times 6. Let's have a look what you think that could be. And there it is, 54. And our last one, you've probably already guessed it by now. It belongs in this one, and 9 8s would be 72. Well done. Keep practicing those tables because your mathematical powers will be unbelievable. Now, these are the big ideas about multiplication tables. It is important to know your tables by heart. Every secondary teacher I ever meet says it's really good when people know their tables. Tables help us to understand other ideas about mathematics. Some of those ideas are division and fractions, and they are important mathematical ideas. And lastly, multiplication facts are connected to division and fractions. So you can be the master of a lot of mathematical ideas if you know those tables. Keep practicing, don't give up, you can do it. Thanks. Bye.